Welcome back to another Wednesday, and this time a little bit of a late night recording now. Today we are talking about the 1960 World Chess Championship match between Mikhail Tal and Mikhail Botvinnik. And well, we all know Tal as this really brilliant guy with like filled with sacrifices. His games are just amazing to watch. It's just a joy. It's mainly the reason why many started playing chess, seeing Tal games on various occasions. Well, and if you want to know more about Tal, you can just search him on YouTube. There's thousands of videos about him, and his style was just simply joyful. And now he's facing Botvinnik, and his fans always said he's solid. He's gonna just be too solid for Tal. Well, let's see. This is game number one, and Tal has the white pieces, and he's ready to rock Botvinnik's world. We have a French defense, a variation that has been explored to its basically to its ultimate depths and limits. This is the French defense that we know our variation. And with this f5 line. This f5 line is not considered the best for black, but I mean, if you're not really prepared and you just look at it, en passant, I have to do it because I have en passant ready, do knight x6, bishop g5, right? But you just lose your queen because you're not actually pinning anything. I mean, there's some stupid lines, right? Here, obviously, you move the queen. But obviously, again, Tal is not going to do that. Tal knows the best moves. He's just going to go back with the queen, keep the pressure here, and, keep also an eye on this queen side. So, Botvinnik is going to play this sacrificing two pawns line to actually get a pawn back. Now, here is kind of crucial. There are two main variations, 92 and queen h5 check. Also king d1 is another variation, but these are the only three moves that are played and that are viable in this position. Here, if you just take the pawn back, you're lost because queen c3 and you're just getting forward, and that's why either you give a check first and then you deal with the threat, or you just move your king out. And now if queen takes, now it's actually you just move your rook and you're completely fine. Your d3, it seems scary, but you can just take, and black doesn't really have any attack. This bishop sucks. You gotta get this knight in, right? Let's see, you try to develop knight f3, and simply white is fast enough. You want to go with your knight here. You have too many threats as white. Basically, that's the whole problem. So that's why Botvinnik tries to get rid of his bad bishop as fast as possible. Now we have the check and the knight blocks. Now here more accurately, and today really king to d8 is played because this knight to g6 pin will come back to bite later, but we're gonna see. Knight to e2 now, right? Just if pawn takes, you're not really concerned because you can also go knight f4, and now the queen is basically useless, and now black is gonna suffer a little bit in this variation, but he's not gonna have any real chances, and at the end of the day you cannot pick this pawn up ever because you lose this one, and it's black, it just feels stuck like b6, and you're surviving, but with white it's so much clearer. G4, for example, right? Not to mention more fun, obviously. And now you give up this pawn. Okay, knight takes g6, let's say rook takes g6, and now rook g1, and you have all of these crazy lines variations, and somehow your king is completely safe. Black is up a pawn, but white is still better. These lines are really nice to explore, but we obviously don't have time to go in depth with every single line. But Botvinnik decides to opt in this match for this line. He basically gives white a pawn, the pawn advantage, but he's arguing, look, I have a strong bishop here, I have a nice active queen, I'm gonna solve this spin somehow. I'm just gonna develop my knight, get my king to safety, bring my rook, and that's it. GG's. But you see, Tal is not gonna allow him to walk away that easily. Bishop g5, and now d4. The queen is hit back. If you try to go back with the queen to a square like g7, right, to try to immediately get your king out of the way, knight f4, that's the problem. And if you try to move the king, well, you can, but you're gonna lose this. And now after the whole trade, well, just h4. And now you're not only suffering, you're simply in a worse endgame. I'm probably gonna solidify my bishop here. Just gonna push until I cannot push no more, and then play g4, chip away at your structure. Meanwhile, I'm unbreakable on the queen side, and you just lose the game as black. It's simply a little bit sad. So Botvinnik tries to keep chances alive, but Tao does just that what I showed you. And now, obviously, to avoid getting crushed, Botvinnik is gonna try to break in the center. But Tal, he plays a really nice move here. He plays Rook h3. Rook h3 is, you might look at the position and say, what is Rook h3? But look around and, okay, you might see Rook b1. Okay, Rook b1, that's a respectable move. Rook b1, that you just put pressure on black. But what are you gonna do after you take here? You cannot take back, because now, for example, knight takes, and now queen c3 check. Bishop d2, obviously the only move. Queen takes. Now what are you gonna do here? Are you gonna take the pawn and lose the game? Well, certainly not, right? You would get checked. Are you gonna deliver this right check? And where is this going? Oh, you're actually checkmating here. Oh, okay. You sacrifice the rook. Oh, but bishop a6 check. And you're actually getting checkmate. Okay, but you gotta be really careful. I just illustrated that because black can play this a lot more stubborn, and then you have to play all the right moves, and sometimes it's hard to play all the right moves for a long time. And I'm not going to explore further variations, but Rook h3 basically prevents all of that trouble, because now you force black to play this Queen f7 move. Queen f7 is the only move that defends both of these pawns and keeps an eye on the knight. Now the king can move. And the whole difference is if you take the pawn, for example, right away, knight takes e5, and you're really worse as white, because this is a huge threat. And if you try Rook h3 now, well, now I have Rook h8, because the knight is actually defended, and now you're gonna lose a piece here, right? You're gonna have to play something like f4, knight g4. Yeah, I've obviously looked at the lines before the game, before the video, obviously, and then you arrive at this line where it's crazy. You're better as black, because you can come back with everything, with all of your pieces, but at the end of the day, white also, this position is crazy. White also has chances, and it's only 3 pawns for the piece. Look at this. Have you ever seen this before in a top level game? I certainly haven't seen something like this in a classical game. This is crazy. And Queen f7, because now what are you gonna do as black? You try to find a move. Plus the threat is Queen f3, right? Attacking both these pawns, and that would be a little bit bad for black. And now you take. And now you say, oh wait, hold on, didn't you just say taking is bad? Well, yes, but now it's not bad because you actually have a tempo. You see, in this other variation, not this variation, where is it? This variation, black has the tempo here, but in the game, white has the tempo, and white uses that tempo to pin the knight. So now there's no more Rook h8, because you just take the knight, and you have to, right? You deflect the piece. This knight is overloaded. So king to d7. Now you try to get out of the pin. But now Rook b1, right? Because you attack the pawn. Everything is logical. b6, okay. And now knight f4, because it's still kind of bad. You can still not play Rook h8, for example. I just come back with the queen. I'm safe. I'm safe with everything. There's a huge pressure here on the knights, and you have to solve this pressure somehow. Otherwise, you're just getting crushed. And now it's actually even worse than that. Now I don't even take your knight back. I play Queen a6, attacking your bishop, also threatening this. And bishop c6 seems like it defends both, yes, but now I take. Okay, this knight is double attack, right? So you would like to move your knight. Okay, you say you move your knight. No, bishop b5, and you're getting crushed here. I mean, you're just getting crushed. The king cannot move. I mean, if you want to argue that you can play this with black, I invite you to play a wager for how much money you want. I'm taking the white pieces and I'm winning against every single player on the planet. Every time. That's how good the position is. Right? Even me, I'm not that strong. But the position is just unbelievably good. And Tal managed to simply outplay Botvinnik here. Botvinnik played, kind of a risky variation, and Tal made him pay for that. And that's, a little bit surprising because Botvinnik is known as the guy with the prep, right? Kind of like Caruana in today's age. And I didn't really comment on that. I skipped some of the moves because it's just logical, right? Black brings in the rook trying to defend everything. White attacks the bishop. The queen comes back because, right, pressure. And now we have the trade that I was talking about. You have to resolve that pressure. And Black tries to go into an endgame. That's the best thing he can hope for. But he's not arriving in the endgame because he's going to lose an exchange. And he just resigned here. Botvinnik, because after you move the knight, bishop f4, you pin the knight. Even if you defend your knight, no, even this is winning. Like I don't have to stress. I don't really have to stress here. Now queen e2, and I'm even gonna confidently say that I'm also getting this position against every player in the world. And I'm probably winning this. Probably. So really beautiful game played by Tal, and the next 4 games were draws. And here comes game number 6. Botvinnik has the white pieces, Tal has the black pieces, and we're gonna have a fun opening. Okay, as I previously mentioned, for the past 4 episodes, I think I've said Botvinnik likes to play this chilled lines with like just chill English lines, but this is still pretty chill. This is the main variation of the King's Indian defense, and it all comes down to the fact that these bishops are kind of trash right now, so Black tries to play f5. And White has more space in the center, but Black compensates for that for having more activity on the queen side. So let's see how this actually happens. This is a really well-known variation. All moves, this game has happened before. And now knight h5. Knight h5 basically obviously makes room for f5. And also a pretty ambitious move. And remember this knight h5 move, because obviously Tal was this attacking player. He's gonna go for an ambitious move, no matter the opponent. And although he was criticized by his contemporaries for his style, he still beat them. So at the end of the day, who got the last laugh? But Tal, you see, in trying to achieve something great, you have to take risk. Botvinnik tried taking risk in the first game, but it didn't work out. And this position is, objectively speaking, better for White. But again, the practical problems come into play. And Botvinnik plays this really good. I'm not trying to say that he played this bad. But at this point, f5, we get a trade, the rook is forced to move. And now Tal, that's why this mini title is called Tal Shenanigans, because Tal here played a suboptimal move, but made it really hard. And this is a really known sacrifice here in this position. Not in this type of positions, but in this particular game. Knight f4. You have to accept the sacrifice, and the problem is, it's actually good to accept the sacrifice. This is, the crazy part also. And here, right, because in this position for Black to go back, you just get g4, bishop f1, and you would get your rook kicked back, and this is weak, and then you're somehow, right, queen c2, you're getting pushed back on all fronts, and it's not fun. You're gonna have to work to activate this in the future. You're maybe not gonna get that. So Tal was like, either I'm gonna sit here in a worse position, or I'm just gonna go out with a boom. And with a boom, he actually managed to not only bamboozle Botvinnik into playing not the best move. Here the best continuation is just crazy. I'm gonna show you just for the fun of it, not expecting maybe the best players that I think I'm beating in those other variations. Maybe they're gonna find this variation, because here bishop d2, and now you're much better as as white. And I don't really deeply understand why this is not that good for white, but it all comes down to the fact that black can take this pawn in the variation without a3. So in this variation, black doesn't have the pressure on the pawn right here. And if you go queen d3, and what's actually crazy, this is the best move. And now you keep defending your pawn. Defending this pawn is crucial, and you're gonna see that in a second. Because after bishop d2, Tal wastes no time and he takes the pawn. And now, well, he not only sacrificed a piece, a knight, but he also offers the queen. Obviously, this is a kind of like danger levels. But it's interesting to me that Tal did not take the rook. And why Tal did not take the rook? Well, it's because at the end of the variation, he saw something crazy. Knight b5, right? Knight b5, bishop e5, you're threatening f3 check. Knight takes d6, you remove the guard from the bishop. The bishop is now hanging, so you have to take the knight, and you've already guessed it. Queen e6 check, the king moves, but now you don't pick up the bishop, yet you give a check. A crucial check to force, the exchange. Wait, no, this rook. Problem is with putting this rook here is that now you lose the rook because it's pinned, right? So you have to put this rook here, and now we have a trade, right? And you lose the bishop here. But if you take with the bishop, now queen e7 check, because you want to push the pawn, obviously. And after the king moves, now you push d6. And now the only way to survive, you cannot take the pawn. Bishop d5 would be devastating. It's actually checkmate. So you have to take the bishop here and get into this endgame. This is the only way to survive as black. And now you deliver a check, and now you go something along the lines of protecting this pawn and also not allowing any crazy perpetuals. This would have still been a grindy endgame for white, but you should still win this as white. And yeah, that maybe Tal saw all of that, and that's why he simply went f3. And the crazy thing is, when these moves are played, deep down you should not take the queen. But it's so hard because yes, taking the pawn is the right thing to do. But how do you take the pawn? Do you take it with the bishop? Because if you take it with the queen, now it's simply lost. Bishop e5 check, right? You go back, and you're forced back, and now queen takes on d2, and you lose the bishop, right? So obviously you take with the bishop, right? But now what do you do? What do you do after check? You play king g2, and after bishop takes, you do the same thing. The queen can come back, but it's no worries, right? I can kick you back one more time. I can repeat moves if I want to. Oops. Obviously I don't want that. So at some point I'm just gonna play bishop g4. I'm gonna consolidate my position here, and then I'm just gonna have an easy game. And the most important thing is this is kind of funny. If you try to take the knight, let's say here, now I'll just deliver a check. And if you move the king, now you're gonna let's see, king h8, bishop takes on c3, queen rook takes, but now you're getting checkmated. So you're forced to take with the queen, and then right, you're still getting checkmated at the end of the variation. So the king is really weak, but somehow Tal managed to trick Botvinnik into taking, and now he's lost. He's lost, believe it or not, because there's no way to stop this. Just look at this bishop here, controlling all key squares, and that's it. Rook b3, he tries to defend the knight. You attack the bishop. Bishop comes back, tries to defend promotion. Check. Bishop f4 attacks the rook. You try to sacrifice some material here. Bishop e4. And at the end of the day, you can push me back all you want. After all the exchanges, it's just gonna be an endgame where black is up a pawn, and not only up a pawn, your position as white sucks really bad, and you get into a rook endgame. And 10% of all games end in rook endgames. You have to know your rook endgames, right? But obviously this one is easy. It's easy because you just push the pawn. You get checked. You don't care. You just push the pawn. right? You just push the pawn, and white doesn't have any chance whatsoever. Like even if you're trying to go here, I can just play king c1. Even this, right? I have to go back. For example, rook here. Even if you arrive here, even if you take like here rook takes c2. This might be a draw because you're getting actually too far. But now rook g2, and now I'm winning, right? Same thing, but I'm defending the pawn. And if you try to push, I'm getting out. King h6, make a queen. Or if you try to give me a check, I run, and we have to come back. And okay, maybe. Wait a second. How do we actually win this here? Really quick. King d2, yeah, king d2. Check, and now I guess you just pick everything up. Okay, it wasn't actually that easy, as I thought it would be, but still no problem converting for these guys. And you just got a little bit of an end game here. And now I'm just gonna show you a really nice game that Botvinnik won. Although he lost the whole match, Tal was definitely better than him during this match. I'm just gonna show you a really quick game where Botvinnik actually managed to get something, quite nice going for him. We have the Kowalsky variation, the classical variation. I'm not gonna get too in depth, but there's a theoretical sacrifice in this position, and Tal is gonna play it. So knight takes, and I think Botvinnik played this line as an invitation for Tal to sacrifice like this, because now what you're arguing here as white after this long line is this rook is kind of stupid, and maybe I'm just gonna be able to exploit it. Obviously there's some pressure on the knight, and I'm just gonna move the knight. I'm gonna try to exploit what I can, and then hopefully I win. But you see, the pieces have been already traded, and the more pieces that come off the board, the easier it is for black to prove his advantage, especially with these doubled pawns. But it's gonna be a little bit tricky now, because Tal is gonna make the end game. He's gonna arrive to the end game, and although Botvinnik did in fact manage to get a winning end game, how do you actually convert this? And then again, another mini end game lesson here. What after repeating some moves, what does Botvinnik want, or aka black? Knight e5, attack this pawn, and also threaten knight c4, right? This seems logical. So you would say, okay, play g5. Yeah, but then knight e5 and what? Because you're not gonna play h5, right? You're just gonna take that stupid, and you're gonna play b3, right? That's my thought. But now I go back and I find another way, because obviously the knight is more mobile than a pawn is, and right, a4. Let's say you try to stop that, knight a5 still, and after I force your pawns to move forward, they're too weak, because their king is not gonna be able to be here and here at the same time. So Tal tries a last resort, h5, and now if you're not careful, if you play knight e5, this might be drawing if you're not careful. King d4, for example, you're trying to make it here. Here, if you just take this pawn lazily, now it's actually probably a draw. If you try to move your king here, I just move. And okay, let's see if you secure that. Okay, I fork you. Yeah, but you're not actually good here, because I just trade everything, and if you don't have a pawn, you need at least a pawn to be able to win the game, right? And you're just not getting the pawn, and it's a draw. So that's why Botvinnik played g5, and now after h6, you're all right, because even though king d5 comes, you have king g6, king comes in, now knight goes here, you threaten to come to c4, knight goes to b3, nicely stopping everything, so you force the king to move, now a5. And even though you lose the pawn here on the queen side, you gain both of the pawns on the king side where it actually matters. So before you give a trade, you go back here and you win the pawns, and that's it. You win the pawns here, and white resign. But just to illustrate here the point that I'm trying to make, even if let's say here king d6, a5 like this, and now a4 for example. Even if okay, this is apparently this is not right because you have to go 95, okay, to take, yeah, obviously. But here, like, even if you come here and just take, even if you manage to take this, even if you manage to push, right? Even if you manage to push, I just go g4, and at the end of the day, I'm just faster. I'm just simply faster. I give a check, and this is not a draw, because queen c5, and now you can actually, wait, this is a draw. Yeah, you have to force the king in first. Queen b5, and now the king has to move here to defend his pawn, and now this is not a draw because you basically put white in 2-1. This, on the other hand, right here, this would have been a draw because a7, and this is a draw on king and pawn endgame, queen and pawn endgame. You have to know this because there's no way to get, well, this allows queening. There's no way to get a white out of the quarter. Actually, this is made in 1, but there's no way to get white out of the quarter. I meant like this. So, a little bit longer video, but definitely some very interesting high-level games. Hopefully you enjoyed it. I'll see you all in the next one. Kowalsky, out.